let's look at Sunday to close out Week 8. What players can you add to win your fantasy matchup, Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and according to Margaret Pomerantz, the best cure for hay fever is not being a pussy. And I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnNBA, for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Do you want to be a double banger? You can be an everydayer and listen to this show every day, but can you also be a double banger? And what that means, you watch the video and you listen to the audio. You do both. The old crossover move. We all want to be double bangers, so why don't you join me in double banging it up? All right, we are here to talk about the end of Week 8 in fantasy on Sunday. Our first Sunday of NBA action in 3 weeks, and we won't have another one for another 2 weeks. But that's the way it is. So we're looking to how we can win our matchups for head-to-head leagues, what categories we're streaming in, who we're streaming in for each category, and for points leagues as well. Let's just start by giving a bit of an injury update across the games. There are 5 games on. A reminder, there is an early game. There is a 3 p.m. Eastern game on tomorrow. That is the Magic and the Celtics. There is also a 2:30 p.m. Eastern game on, which is the Pelicans and the Spurs. And then the other games start at 7 p.m. Eastern. So for us in Australia, there is a 7 a.m. game, which is the Magic and the Celtics. So get ready to get your lineups in early and ready to go. At this point, there's not a huge amount of guys ruled out. Landry Shamet is out. DeLon Wright is out in Washington. Gary Payton and Draymond Green are out for the Golden State Warriors. I didn't include him here, but Luke Cornett is out for the Celtics too, which is important-ish, I guess, but not really. And then we have a couple which I am labeling doubtful. I don't think Wendell Carter is going to return for the Magic, but he could. I don't think he will. And I'd be absolutely flabbergasted if Brad Beal played after that ankle injury yesterday. Staggered if he did. No chance. None. I think Beal has a significant risk. I don't think he's going to play on Christmas Day, to be honest, which is 8 days away from now. I would say he's out for the rest of this week. They do only have a 2-game week, but as we talked about on the Week 9 schedule earlier on today, that their schedule is actually pretty good in terms of quality games, but I don't think Beal is going to be a part of those. So I'm going to label Beal doubtful and Wendell Carter doubtful as well. I have to label Markelle Fultz as questionable. He was questionable for the last game. He did not play. So it looks like his return is coming. So that means that we've got a real... I actually think the Magic might have just, as I'm recording this, may have just dropped their injury report. They did, and Markelle Fultz is doubtful. So there you go. And Wendell Carter is officially out, and Joe Ingles popped up as questionable. So at least we got that news. Carter is out, and Fultz remains out. Jalen Suggs is questionable. I don't think he's been... they haven't changed any status on him. He's questionable, didn't practice, so there's a risk there of him not playing. So we really could have a big opportunity for Harris, Black, and Anthony in that one. Trey Jones is questionable for the Spurs. With him out, they still don't go to Devontae Graham, so that doesn't matter. It's just more opportunities for the guys like Branham and Vassell and Sohan to handle the ball. For the Rockets, the Wild thing, Jayshawn Tate and Amen Thompson are both questionable. I'm just checking. Yep, that has now officially come through. Tate is questionable and Amen Thompson is questionable. Leaky Beasley, I'm going to label questionable. He didn't play on Saturday for the Bucks. They've got a Saturday-Sunday back-to-back. So I'm going to put him as questionable for the game on Sunday. Eric Gordon and Josh Okogie both missed the Suns' last game. I would expect that especially Gordon, he is going to have a chance of being active and playing. Okogie, I don't know. And that's obviously really going to be important with Beal unlikely to play. Zach Collins is probable for the Spurs. Chris Middleton, I've labelled probable. He is probable because he sat out Saturday on the back-to-back. So he's almost definitely going to play on Sunday. And Jeremy Grant is officially probable for Saturday's game with his concussion. I don't think there's any risk of him sitting out the back-to-back, but I have just given it a little bit of an asterisk there to say that, yes, Jeremy Grant is probable for Saturday, so we expect him to play Saturday. I also do expect him to play Sunday, but that part of it has not been officially confirmed yet. When you're looking at making moves for Sunday to try and win your matchup, if there's ever a tiebreaker decision, we want to look at two teams, the Rockets and the Wizards. They're the teams with the Sunday, Monday back-to-back. So when you add those guys in, it helps you for the game on Sunday, but then you get that little bit of an extra leg up for Monday's action. So it's Rockets and Wizards who have that Sunday, Monday back-to-back, which of course, again, can be quite important when talking about fantasy. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's also the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Don't worry about spreadsheets. Don't worry about pros and sharks coming for your wallet. It's just you against the player projections. PrizePicks has so many different players and so many different projections they throw up there. Points, rebounds, assists or steals, blocks, threes, fantasy points, whatever. Combo projections as well across multiple sports. And all you need to do is look at it and say more or less. You do between 2 to 6 of those individual player projections. You stick them into an entry, and you can win up to 25 times your money back if all 6 of those hit. You put $10 in, you get $250 back. And it's so fast and so easy to do. And PrizePicks also has the reboot policy. So your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. In football and basketball, if someone exits the game in the first half and does not return the second, pay attention, Twitter dweebs who petition for reboots on guys who play the entire second half. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. If that guy doesn't play in the second half, you do get that guy rebooted. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. Okay, let us go in now and start to knock out what we do in a points league to try and win our matchup. I'm using a bunch of different roster percentage metrics here, but no one in this list is higher than 65%. It is it is sort of in the list of my priority just for Sunday, not for long-term value, but you've got to weigh that up as well. Do I get a guy who's marginally worse for Sunday but has more long-term staying power? In this case, with the 12-team or with the point streaming options, the top 2 on that list I think have some long-term value, and that is Jonathan Kuminga and Brandin Podziemski, who are probably going to start for the next, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know how long Draymond's out. I don't know if Wiggins gets the spot back, but we're looking at both Kuminga and Podziemski. In a category league, I'd put Podziemski ahead of Kuminga. In a points league, I have Kuminga ahead of Podziemski. They're the 2 guys that I'm looking at, though. And for Sunday streaming for the Warriors, really strong. Jeremy Sohan is there. Yes, is he exciting? No. But they've got a really interesting upcoming schedule. He's got a strong role of 30-ish minutes, and sometimes he pops off. And that's what we're looking for. Scoot Henderson's there because he is available in still 40+% of leagues. Yes, it was a blowout that he looked good last game, but the important thing to me was he was off the bench ahead of Malcolm Brogdon. And that is going to be, I expect, something that happens most of the time moving forward. If not, Scoot starting. So that is, again, 4th on that list. But if we're talking longer-term priorities, I would have Scoot, honestly, probably ahead of everyone here. Scoot's got value through to March, April. Kuminga and Podziemski maybe falls away in January. But again, it's weighing that up. Grayson Allen is down there. That is under the assumption that Bradley Beal is out. If Eric Gordon is out, Allen's value does rise even further. If Gordon plays, it sits around here. And then Malaki Branham is there as well, a guy that does score quite a bit. There are only 5 games on Sunday as well. So while it seems like Branham, what am I doing with that? He's 8% rostered. He is. He's someone that's worth at least a 14-team grab. But even as a 12-team, I'm okay to grab it. Let's see what happens, because he's flashed a little bit of assisting as well, which has never really been a part of his game. And that's just an added thing, because in the past, he needed big volume and to shoot really well and big minutes to even sniff fantasy value. If you can start adding 6 assists, you're there. for points leagues and category leagues. So he's coming. And again, one of the things we do like to do on this show is A, get ahead of guys, get ahead of the curve, and B, exercise a little bit of patience whose role and value is secure and their numbers are down for other reasons. That's the Kobe White story. And then with the get ahead of it is the Keontae George. It's the Podziemski and the Kuminga that we looked at before the Draymond suspension. And now it's the Branham, and there's another guy we're going to talk about here where you just want to get slightly ahead of the pack. And yeah, the Branham one, I think we talked about that on Thursday, and the other guy I think we might have talked about it on Tuesday, but we just want to sort of get ahead of the pack on a lot of these things, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. For ESPN points, it's basically the same list, except for ESPN points, because efficiency is such a big drag there, Scoot has dropped out of that list. So we're looking at Kuminga, Podziemski, Sohan, Allen, I'll put Goga Badadze in there with Wendell Carter out, and Malaki Branham. Scoot still is the longer-term guy that I have over nearly every one of those players, but in terms of just trying to win on Sunday, there's a risk that he can have a shocking shooting night, and that drops his ESPN points league production down. That's sort of where Scoot is sitting at the moment in terms of his valuations. If we flick that across the category leagues now, if we're just trying to get the points category over the line, Johnny Kuminga, I think he's going to have a big opportunity, maybe a 20-point scorer. That's possible. Cole Anthony, especially if Suggs sits, he's going to have to play way more minutes. Scooter Henderson is in there too. That's sort of what he's doing at the moment. Branham, Sohan, and Allen, a lot of the same names. You see a lot of carryover there between like Yahoo points and regular points category, because that is by far the highest weighted thing. Even though it's only a 1-for-1, because points are such a bigger volume category, they dictate so much in points leagues. So those names do become relatively similar here. In terms of threes, of the top two names on that list are Eric Gordon and Leaky Beasley, but I don't know that they're going to play. If they do play, they're probably two of the favorited guys that I'd look at to stream in for threes. Then we can go to Slam and Sammy Hauser. By the way, Horford and Porzingis will be back for the Celtics. Grayson Allen, Corey Kispert, every one of these guys has the ability to get to 6 threes, except maybe Podziemski. The top 5 names, so it's Gordon, Beasley, Hauser, Grayson Allen, Corey Kispert. All of those could hit 6 dribbles. The last one, there's Podziemski, who's going to get good opportunities. He shot poorly last game, but 2 or 3 dribbles could very easily come from him. And you're going to see his name pop up in a lot of these, which, again, if you are looking to get multiple categories, that sort of player can be more useful. If we're looking at rebounds, some of these names change, but one of them doesn't, because we're staying in Golden State. Kevon Looney, minutes are up last game. The Looney-Draymond pairing does not really work anymore, but with Green out, we might see Looney play more. He doesn't do anything else apart from rebound, but he could get double digits. And one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA is his teammate. The name that I've mentioned already a million times, Brandin Podziemski. Should I put pods on? I haven't done the thumbnail yet. You've seen it already, but I'm trying to work out in my head. Do I put pods on it? I'd put him on one already. I think I'm going to put someone else on it. But anyway, Podziemski, big rebound guy. Very strong rebound guy. Tari this season, we saw I was going to say downfall, but it's not the wrong word. The downside of adding Eason, and we've talked about this, is that he got those big games from Jalen Green playing 24 minutes a night. And we said, well, how does he get 25, 28 a night regardless? And we weren't sure. And then last game, Green played 28 minutes, and guess who played 4 minutes fewer? Eason. And that's the worry, right? He still doesn't have that easy to see, glaring path to 25 plus minutes. Still want to hold him, but we have to remember this. Good rebound stream. Goga, great rebound stream as well. Sohan, pretty good rebounder. And Al Horford back, available in 50% plus of leagues. We know that the Celtics, if you watch Week 9 preview, they're going to back-to-back in the middle of next week as well, and that's going to limit Horford's value. But in terms of just getting someone in to get some rebounds here, yeah, I do like it quite a bit. For assists, we're looking at Scooter. The assist names aren't massively strong, but it's actually a pretty good crop for a Sunday with only 5 games on. Scoot had a double-double with assists last game. Cool. Sohan's had a couple of big assist games, but they've been down. But yeah, if you can get 5 to 6 assist upside, that's good. Trey Jones, I don't know whether he plays or not. If he is out, then it boosts Sohan and Branham in this category, but Jones he can get 8 or 9 assists. We know this. And Branham's there. He's had a couple of over 5 assist games recently. Podziemski can get assists. And Cole Anthony probably finds himself in a good role. You could throw for deeper leagues Mr. Black in there as well, who put up a pretty good performance last time, Anthony Black, but I don't really see that lasting as anything long-term, but Fultz still remains out, so cool. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. As the weather gets colder, as Christmas gets ready to come, the offers stay hot, just like this ad read on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Can you guys imagine what it's like to have a Christmas where it's, let's say, like 95 degrees Fahrenheit? Because that's what we're going to have every year. Can you even fathom that? You don't need to keep toasty warm here, but I've heard that the offers at FanDuel can actually keep you cool. They're actually thermostat regulated. So whatever your temperature is, these new offers, they're great. That's $150 if you put a $5 moneyline bet down and it wins. And then they've got parlays, they've got totals, they've got straight ups and spreads and player props, and of course futures. So if you want to see or take a look at the odds for who's going to win the NBA title, I'm pretty sure the Celtics are favored. Go and have a look. Do you think the Nuggets are being disrespected? Go and have a look. Are the Lakers disrespected in the betting market? That never happens, but are they? Go and have a look. It's all there over at FanDuel. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and get ready for the NBA season to get into high gear. FanDuel is an official partner also of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, what are we going to do now? We've done assists, so the next category. Do you guys have this in your head? Like, just complete aside here. When I'm talking fantasy stats, there is an order that I always produce them in my head. Points, threes, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, field goals, free throws. That is the order that I put them in every time. So it's the order I always do this show in. Points, threes, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, field goals, free throws. It would probably make more sense to go, threes, assists, steals, free throws, rebounds, blocks, field goals, and put them all together. But I don't know. I'm never going to break that habit. Points, threes, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, field goals, free throws. Every time when I put lines up, I'll put them up that way every time. Do you guys have that? And do you understand that I think it's a relatively normalized or convention for putting stats out. I hope you guys realize when I do put those numbers out with the slashes in it, that's what I'm doing. I hope. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Steals. Suggsy. He would be the number one guy that I look at there, but this is the man that I think I am going to put on the thumbnail, and that is Bilal Coulibaly. We talked about him, I'd say on Wednesday. Say, look, I think we might just get ahead of this now and grab him and see what's going on. Do it. Steals? Sure. Great. We're going to get him. Just grab him. Let's just see what goes on here. I'm more than happy to do it now. We're still available in over 50%. Just going at him. Matisse Thybulle, always the best steals guy, but we are going to get some very important information because this team is healthy finally. So what happens with Kamara? What happens with Thybulle? What happens with Scoot? What happens with Brogdon? How do the minutes shake out? Does Thybulle continue to start and play 17 minutes? Do they take Kamara out of the rotation entirely? I don't know. Thybulle can get 3 steals very easily, but he also might get dicked completely. There's a couple of familiar names on this list. Brandin Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga. Yeah, they're very good ads, and they're still available in over 50% of leagues, and they should not be. And the other one there, if he plays, is Josh Okogie. He does nothing else. Like, that's what he's there for, so utilize it. Blocks. The big fella, the dart, Goga Badadze. He's playing really well. Wendell remains out. We keep using him. Big Al Horford. Big Drew Eubanks. Although Eubanks is one I've got to watch because his minutes have been a little bit inconsistent. Just pay attention to that. John Isaac, always a good steals guy too, and a good blocks guy. If Joe Ingles is out, maybe they can push a couple of extra into Isaac, although I don't know that Joe Ingles' presence is what's been keeping Isaac away from playing 25 minutes. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. Bilal is here again, and Tari this season. Pretty good blocks guy, even in the limited minutes. Let's do field goal percentage now. Goga's at the top. Drew Eubanks and Mo Wagner are lower volume players, but usually really efficient. Kevon Looney is a good field goal percentage player. John Kuminga, when you're looking for some more volume, yeah, he can have some stinkers, but he's been finishing at the rim really well. The other one there, if you want to go super deep, is the big fella, who's not that big, but he's sort of big, in Golden State, who's rostered nowhere, Trace Jackson Davis. This is for you deeper league nuts, but honestly, in a 14-team league, he might play 10 minutes and have 70% shooting. I think he's in the rotation. I wish they would actually play him. I actually don't think that Trace can be a long-term NBA starter. I think he's a little undersized, but he's got an unbelievable fantasy profile, and he's very, very efficient. And I'd like to see an opportunity for him. The free throw percentage, guys, there's some really good names here. Cole Anthony, Grayson Allen. the Italian cock Danilo Gallinari, Malaki Branham, Flaming Mo Wagner, and Eric Gordon if he plays. Real value in all of those players to try and swing that category for you. Now we've got maybe I'm wrong on this part, right? Please let me know in the comments or in the chat. In the comments, it's easy for me to see in case I'm not watching the premiere, but leave it in both spots. If you don't play regular 9-category league or you've added categories or taken them out, I think I've chosen the 4 most common replacement categories when I do this others section. But am I missing something? Do you think these are not the 4 most common? I'd like to know, and one, actually that's not true. I know one of them is going to be the insane category of field goals made. But let me know if these are what you think the 4 most common ones are. Or I've got space for 2 more lines there. What other categories I could include? Because we look at 3-point percentage as a relatively common replacement category. Grayson Allen's the guy there. I guess I could put effective field goal percentage in there too. Assist to turnover ratio, Trey Jones by an absolute mile if he's ready to play. Offensive rebound, Kevon Looney, really strong on the offensive glass. And free throws made is John Kuminga. Even though his percentage might not be good, he can get that opportunity to get 2 or 3 free throws made. I do think they are, again, the 4 most common extra categories. I've said this before, but I believe that default fantasy in China is offensive rebounds and assisted turnovers added to 9 cats to make it 11 cats. Seems like it's too much for you guys in China. You're doing a little bit too much there, but that's what I have been told by multiple people. So there you go. That's where we're at with that. Lastly, let's just do a little bit of forward planning here. Let's get chunky. Let's look at the next 5 days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have 3 streamable days in there. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Monday with 11 games? Probably not. Wednesday with 10? Maybe. But let's just look at the ones where we're definitely going to be able to stream. So who are the guys we're looking at? Well, the Spurs. Sohan, 3 games. Branham, 3 games. Trey Jones, maybe 3, depending on how he's feeling. But the Spurs have 3 games on those quality days in the next 5 games. So if you're hesitant about a Sohan or a Branham, just think that you will get volume out of them. And I would imagine that they start all of those games and play 30-ish minutes. Podziemski, wow, what a shock to see his name again. Obviously, Kuminga's in that mix there with 2 as well, or even Looney for those slightly deeper formats. And Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen with the 2 quality games for Phoenix. They've also got only 2 games in Week 9, but remember, both of their games in Week 9 are qualities, and then they've got the Sunday quality, so the schedule is actually pretty good, especially for streaming. So Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, and then deeper leagues, it's Drew Eubanks and Josh Okogie who get that bit of a boost under the assumption, which I am working on, that Bradley Beal does not play, which I think is a fair assumption. And that is the end of the streaming show for Sunday. Tomorrow, we will have a waiver wire show. We will have a look ahead for Monday, and we will have a recap of all Sunday's 5-game action. If you do want to be, like me, a double banger, watch on YouTube, listen on audio, and then on YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.